Dragon Recaps welcomes you. Today we are going to have a look on a romantic drama movie called Adore. It narrates the story of two best friends' dramatic life and their taboo affair with each other's sons. So let's get started. The movie starts with two young girls named Lil and Rose running in the wood. Actually, these whole 3 minutes of running drinking on the floating dock, etc. establish only one thing, that they are friends forever. In the next scene, we see a funeral ceremony of Lil's husband Theo Weston being organized. Everyone pays tribute to him and gives condolences to Lil and Lan. Here we also see Lil's son, Lan, and Roz's son, Tom, standing together as best friends, just like their mothers. As the movie moves on and time passes by, both boys are grown up and become good surfers. In the next scene, both women are viewing an old album and remembering the days. Boys arrives and take the album to view by themselves. In that album, there is a picture of Lan and his father which makes him emotional. Lil comforts him. At the dinner table, they have a discussion on Lil's boobs during college time. I personally don't know why, but this is what they do. Swim, drink, talk shit, and fucks. Later that night we have seen Rose's husband Harold. He tells Rose that he gets a job at Sydney University. Both of them are happy about it, but she became upset when Harold tells her that they need to move to Sydney, as she finds it difficult to make any decision. So she asks for some time to get comfortable with the idea. Later we see Harold preparing to leave for Sydney alone. Wife and son wish him a safe journey. Later that evening everyone gathers and having drinks. Suddenly Lil's favorite song starts playing and she cannot stop himself from dancing. Tom also joins her, while Rose and Lan decide to sit and enjoy the view. That night Lil slips off to her house, but Lan stays because Tom got overdrunk. After Tom falls asleep, Lan comes to Rose's room. She asks if he has everything he needs. He says no and starts kissing her. That's quite an approach. Everyone needs it. Cut the crap, just fuck. After half resisting, she gives him what he needs. Things became more fucked up when Tom sees his mother walking out of Lan's room having jeans in her hand. This makes him very upset and frustrated. The next morning he goes to Lil's house and tells her that he does not want to go to Sydney, as his father wants him to do. Suddenly Joan kisses Lil. She was surprised and shocked by his inappropriate behavior. Then Joan reveals what happens between Lan and his mom, which makes the situation even worse. Lil cannot believe that his best friend can do that. After a day-long tense situation, Lil is again joined by Tom as he does not want to sleep in his house, because his mom slips with his friend, so he comes to sleep with his friend's mom. Later that night, Tom goes to Lil's bedroom and sleeps next to her. Lil is aware of this but doesn't react. We are getting somewhere, you know what I mean. The next morning, Tom wakes up and starts fondling Lil. Lil is now turned on. And here our favorite MILF action started again. Later Tom comes home and tells Rose that he did it with Lil just like she did it with Lan. Rose is shocked by it and slaps Tom. Rose is horrified by all this disarray, which is actually assembled by her, and goes directly to Lil's workplace. They both feel guilty for sleeping with each other's son and decide that it should never happen again. Lil tells Lan that he cannot sleep with Rose anymore, but Lan tells her that he cannot control it because he loves Rose. The next day Lan goes to Rose's house for a talk. Rose tells him that it's over and it can't happen again, but Lan seduces her. So instead of stopping, they fucked again. Meanwhile, Tom and Lil are also passionately mating at Lil's house. Later, Rose and Lil meet to discuss their affair. Both Rose and Lil admit that they're happy and they agree to keep going as long as it lasts. After a while, Harold returns home to take his wife and son with him. But Rose tells him that neither she nor Tom can move with him to Sydney, as now both of them have a reason to stay. This makes Rose and Harold to end their marriage and move on. In the meanwhile, Lil rejected the proposal of a poor fellow named Saul. Now both of them are free from their old men, so they openly spend their time with each other's son. 2 years passed by and Lan now works with his mother for a successful yacht building company, whereas Tom is now studying theater. One day, Harold invites Tom, Sydney to direct one of their plays. Here Tom meets with his father's new family. During the audition, Tom encounters Mary, who is auditioning for the lead role, and they begin an affair. Here Rose and Lan are still together, but Rose knows that Lan will not be attracted to her for much longer. Meanwhile, Lil learns about Mary and reluctantly accepts that Tom has moved on. But after a month, Tom returns home and resumes his relationship with Lil. One day Harold comes to visit Rose and introduces Mary. They are here to celebrate Tom's 21st birthday. At the birthday party, Lil sees Tom and Mary together and feels jealous. Tense, Lil leaves the party early. After the party, Tome drives Mary to her hotel. She invites Tome to her room to get his extra special birthday present. You get the point. Meanwhile, Lil is heartbroken as Tome didn't return last night and realizes that he has moved on. Rose also realizes that sooner or later, Lan will move on as well. So Lil and Rose agreed to end their affairs with boys. They tell Tome and Lan that it's all over, but Lan is upset as he doesn't want to break up with Rose. Rose tries to reason with Lan, but he storms out. Later we see that Tom marries his girlfriend Mary. In that marriage ceremony, Lan meets a girl named Hannah. Rose sees them together and feels jealous but controls her emotion. To get back at her, Lan sleeps with Hannah. Later that night, Lan comes to Rose's door and begs to be let in. But Rose doesn't open the door and quietly cries in her room. Upset, Lan goes surfing alone and ends up breaking his leg in an accident. While being treated at the hospital, Lan refuses to see Rose. Hannah comes to visit him and nurses him through his physical therapy. Later, when Lan and Tome meet up for lunch, Lan tells Tome that his relationship with Hannah is going nowhere and decides to break it off. But later Hannah shows up at Lan's work and tells him that she is pregnant. Some years later, both Lan and Tom are now married and they both have daughters Shirley and Alice. They are all a happy family now and spend their time playing on the beach. Later that night they all eat dinner together, after which Lil says goodbye and leaves for home. Shortly afterward, Tome gets drunk and takes a walk to clear his head. Later we see that both of them are fucking each other. Suddenly Lil stops because his son Lan is just behind them. Upset and frustrated, Lan rushes to Rose's house. He is furious at them for continuing and yells at Rose for believing that it's all over. Mary and Hannah overhear their conversation. Lan reveals to them that he and Tome had an affair with each other's mother. Mary and Hannah are horrified by this and decide to leave with their daughters and never see their husbands again. When Tom returns home, he finds Rose sitting alone in her room. He asks for everyone, then she tells Tome that she doesn't think that any of them are ever coming back. Time passes by and Lan goes for a swim in the ocean. He gets on the free-floating dock in the water, the same dock that he first started flirting with Rose and where Rose and Lil used to swim as girls. When he climbs up, he notices Tome, Lil, and Rose. After telling them good morning, he lies down beside Ross. Despite feeling guilty for their actions, they decide to forget about the past and continue their affair as if nothing has happened. So this was the story of Adore. If you like it, then must watch the full movie. Also, if you want to watch more stories like that, then please like and subscribe to our channel. That's all for today. See you guys with another amazing story in the next video.